Hi everybody, welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back to my channel if you are a regular subscriber. My name is Emiko, and today you're in my composer suite. It's the beginning of 2022. It's the end of January for those of you that really want to know exactly where in the year we are. I had made a commitment to myself to make more videos and answer questions that I've been getting on social media from a lot of you about what it's like to be a composer for film and television, and what it's like to balance that with being a songwriter and an artist, and how that all jives together, especially now that the world and the industry has really changed quite a bit thanks to, if you're seeing this, the pandemic. So that's part of what I want to talk to you about in these videos that are going to be coming up. But the other part of it is I just want to share with you what it's like to be an artist. Some of you who are watching this may know me from the hi-fi side of things, and it's very rare that you'll see me in front of the camera talking about music creation, composition, production, things like that. But this is the year, folks. This is the year that it's gonna happen. Victoria is at my feet. So I figured I would start with a revelation that I had in the last week and a half. I was talking to my manager, talking to a couple folks on my team about this. And you know, when the pandemic hit, I think a lot of us who were performers were at a loss as to what to do. There was a lot of panic. I know that a lot of my contemporaries kind of froze in fear, trying to figure out what their next step was because they couldn't perform live, right? And if that's your bread and butter, how do you pivot and pivot quickly, almost instantaneously? And at first I thought I got lucky, but then this past week in these conversations, it turned out that I wasn't lucky, I just woke up. So here's the thing. My whole life, I have been a musician. Ever since I was little. I grew up playing classical music, Baroque harpsichord. I started composing when I was 8. I started playing out live with the professional band when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13, and my parents came to clubs with me, and you know, I wasn't allowed to drink, so they hauled me into the dressing room, and I wasn't allowed to come out until it was showtime, and it was a whole thing. So I grew up on stage. And I always knew that this is what I was meant to do. However, I always felt like there was something missing on my path that would help it go more smoothly. And I heard time and time again from various A&R reps and managers that I had, and producers and folks at my record company when I was signed. Oh, but this is the music industry, it's an uphill climb, you know, you gotta be crazy to get into this, you gotta be crazy to stick it out. But something in the back of my head kept saying, that's not what's going on here. But I didn't have the tools, and I didn't have the awareness, and maybe I didn't have the experience at the time to really hone in on asking the question. I can tell you this, I didn't have the courage to ask the question because I was always the youngest in the bunch. I was the youngest in the band, I was the youngest writer that was signed in my writer group, I was always the youngest person giving a clinic, so I never felt like I had solid blocks to stand on to say, hey, I have a question, this doesn't seem right, what's going on, I want to investigate this. I also had a lot of producers and managers breathing down my neck trying to make me into something. Brunette, play the piano, so where do you think they put me? Singer-songwriter. And I'm not poo-pooing singer-songwriters at all. There are so many that I absolutely love. Anybody that knows me knows that I am like Billy Joel's #1 fan, right? He, to me, is one of the ultimate singer-songwriters of modern 20th and 21st century music. But something just wasn't adding up for me. And every time I would make strides in my career, I would go so far and then sort of hit a wall. And it was a nasty shock to sort of get stopped when the momentum was going. And then I would start again, and each time I would get a little further, but it wasn't going fast enough. And I started realizing that it wasn't going seamlessly. So enter 2020. I found out about the actual stay-at-home order while I was in the studio tracking for LA After the War. My stylist, who happens to be one of my best friends, texted me and she said, oh my gosh, you have to get home immediately. They're locking us down, they're locking us down. And I thought, oh, she's just being overdramatic, that's not true. And then I got another message, and another message, and then my parents started texting me, and I thought, oh, this is serious. So we stopped the session, we got on to, you know, our news apps, and I remember my drummer and my engineer and I looked at each other and went, okay, well, bye. That was nice, and we all drove home as quickly as humanly possible. And I decided at that moment, even though the lockdown was only for a finite period of time, I knew that it wasn't gonna be. I knew that they were gonna keep extending it if they couldn't get this under control, and I made the decision at that moment, I'm going to pivot quickly and pivot by any means necessary. It's as if I was never a performer and I have a blank slate and I can make whatever I want out of this new frontier. It was the frontier of my house, it's the frontier of my home studio, but that's okay, I'm gonna make it work. And what was so interesting was I started getting work and opportunities that were never on my radar. They were never in my list. I got a phone call from a girlfriend of mine who was directing a short film in quarantine, and she said, would you score the music to this? And I said, sure, absolutely. And for many of you, you know that film went on to win a ton of film festival awards, and then another film came in, and another, and another, and another, and now a comedy series, and now documentaries, and all these things. And through this process, I started to feel the thing that was missing, that thing that would create the seamless journey for me, the thing that was always uphill and always a struggle for me as a songwriter was found in being a composer. And about a week ago, I was having this conversation. First I had this conversation with my manager, then I had it with another colleague of mine. And we were just talking about how all these different COVID variants are here and, you know, are we gonna go back on the road? Are we not? We thought we had tour plans, we didn't, we had to cancel this, that, and the other. I'm gonna stay here and work on all of these film and series projects that I have. In process, my manager said to me, he goes, well, goodness, I'm so glad you finally come to this conclusion. Because what I said to him was, I said, I'm a composer. And he said to me, well, yeah, duh. And I said, no, I said, I feel it. I feel it in myself. I'm a composer. And he said, well, I'm glad you came to this conclusion because we all kind of knew this already. And I had the same conversation with this other colleague of mine, and he sort of chuckled and he said, yeah, it's kind of, you know, I didn't want to say anything because I've been watching you for a while and we talk and check in about stuff, but yeah, it's congratulations, you're here now. And I think in the moment of joy of the realization of this, I spouted out the story of when I was 20 or 21, I got this really, well, what I thought was at the time a horrible, horrible review in the Washington Post. Just slammed my record, Here Lies Tinkerbell. The guy hated it, I thought, because he was saying things like, oh, she's way more Broadway than the Bowery, and she's too cinematic to be rock and roll, and she doesn't have the edge. She has like a theater vibe to her, and all these things, right? And the band was on tour, and we were actually playing a show in DC, and I locked myself in my room, streaming tears down my face, called the entertainment editors. I was just dry heaving with panic over this. And so many years later, I found myself saying to my manager and to my colleague, even that guy knew that I was a composer, that this is what I was meant for. What, am I literally the last one at my own party? And they both went, yep, you are. So all these memes and these things you see on social media, on the internet, that say life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. I hate to say it, but it's absolutely true. And it took me this long to realize it. And I'm in a really great, happy, seamless place because of this. And so I'm making this for you because I know that a lot of artists struggle with what they think should be a mission statement or a vision statement, and all these music business courses that want to teach you how to be business savvy, and the first thing you have to have is a plan and a mission and a vision and what's your elevator pitch and all these things. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, the first thing and the most important thing you have to have is crystal clear clarity and absolute surety of your own identity. And once you have that, the doors blow wide open. So that's my first video of 2022 as a composer and as an artist. If you are enjoying this content, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell to turn your notifications on, and leave me a comment because I want to know what your story is as an artist, as a composer, as a producer, or just as someone who loves music, who's curious about how artists are internally. The things that you don't see, this is where you can see them right here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.